Hello everybody. Today we're going to do a book review on this book, which is called Flatterland by Ian Stewart. And before we get into it, I did a couple of reviews earlier. I did a review on this book, which is called Spaceland, which is by a totally different person named Rudy Rucker. And I did a review on a book called Flatland by Edwin Arthur Abbott, but I gave that book to somebody, so I don't have a copy of it with me. So Flatland was the original book written by Edwin Arthur Abbott, and he wrote that book a long time ago, and since then a lot of people have written spin-offs that go in different directions to the same universe. This is one possible spin-off that goes in this direction, and then Flatterland is another possible spin-off from that book that goes in another direction. So this is one of the possible sequels to the original book, Flatland. And so if you want to see the review to this book, you can check it out right here and click on that, because I already did this, but we're talking about this book right now. So in the original book, Flatland, there's a character named A Square, and he's literally a square. He's two-dimensional, and he lives in this place called Flatland, which is a totally flat place. And he describes how the universe works, and then later in the book, a sphere comes and shows him that there's more to the universe than just two dimensions. There's actually three dimensions, and he shows him like all the beauty of three dimensions and kind of blows A Square's mind. And funny enough, A Square asks in the book if there's stuff higher than three dimensions, like, you took me from 2 to 3, is there 4 dimensions, is there 5 dimensions? And the sphere kind of goes like, we're not going to worry about that, and puts A Square back into two-dimensional Flatland, and that's kind of the end of that. And then this book, Flatterland, picks up because the main character in this book, her name is Vicky Line, and she is a line that lives in Flatland. All the women in Flatland are straight lines, and she ends up finding a book that her great-great-great-grandfather A Square wrote, and reads it, and it's all about his adventures in three-dimensional space, and she gets curious about that and finds a way herself to go outside of Flatland and experience all the things that she normally couldn't within her own reality. And so this book is about her going on all of those adventures and seeing the different parts of the universe that normally people can't see because they lack the perceptive tools or their knowledge isn't advanced and stuff. And basically what happens is this book brings to life a lot of very normally complicated mathematical concepts like time travel and wormholes and stuff like that, but does it in a way that's, in my opinion, very easy to understand, because even if while reading the book it's not the simplest thing, this is a very easy version of something that could be very complicated. Because in the book, Vicky is a teenager, and all the explanations have to be given to her, who is a teenager, and so these are very teenage explanations to very dense topics. It talks in here about, let me see if I can find it, the Mandelbrot set, and it gives you like pictures of what that is, and it explains stuff like fractals and stuff like that. And then when I was talking about the time machine stuff, like here's a diagram of how a time machine works, or a possible time machine. And I think one of the cool things about this book is it doesn't only go through different mathematical concepts, but it blends them very well into the story. Like for instance, when it's talking about wormholes and time travel, all of that stuff within the book is owned by this person called the Hawk King, and he's a hawk that sits on this throne and like owns all the property rights to wormholes, and they have to go talk to him to try and use one. But in real life, like out here with you and me, the person who came up with most of those ideas is Stephen Hawking. And so it's kind of clever how they integrate some of the history of the math, the concepts of the math, and the storyline of the book all into one. I wouldn't say this book is for everybody. I'm very interested in math, and so I liked it a lot. But I think anybody that wants to understand more math, was very confused by the movie Interstellar and wants to understand that more, or liked Flatland a lot and wants to read this, I think that would be a good choice for you. But I would definitely say this book is not for everybody. But if you like Flatland, or if the concepts that are in movies like Interstellar, like wormholes and time travel or math is interesting to you, I would say this is a very good book. I thought it was a very good book, and it was very well written for what it was trying to do. It was very clever in how it explained the concepts within the context of the story. But no, I would say this, if you're like one of those people that goes like, math, no, stay away from me, then I would say stay away from this book. But if you're not and you like learning new things, then I'd say this is a really good book.